Sabourad'S Dextrose Agar. Sabourad'S Dextrose Agar is a specialized solid culture medium utilized primarily for the cultivation and isolation of fungi. For example, Candida species are frequently grown on Sabourad's Dextrose Agar for identification. Sabourad's Dextrose agar is the most common and widely used culture medium in mycology, specifically designed for the cultivation and isolation of fungi, including both yeast and mold. The Sabourad's dextrose agar is a specialized solid culture medium utilized primarily for the cultivation and isolation of fungi. For example, Candida species are frequently grown on Sabourad's dextrose sugar agar for identification. Sabourad's dextrose agar is the most common and widely used culture medium in mycology, specifically designated for the cultivation and isolation of fungi, including both yeasts and molds. Here are the detailed characteristics and modifications and clinical applications of Sabourad's dextrose agar. pH and composition. Standard SDA, the original formulation of SDA has an acidic pH of 5.4, which provide a natural selective advantage by supporting fungal growth while suppressing the growth of many contaminating bacteria. Standard SDA, original formulation of SDA has an acidic pH of 5.4 that which provide a natural selective advantage by supporting fungal growth while suppressing the growth of many contaminating bacteria. Emmons modification, a modified version of SDA adjusts the pH closer to neutral around 6.5 and uses less dextrose. This modification is often considered as more efficient medium for the primary isolation of fungi than the original formulation. Emmons modification. Use of additives. Inhibitory mold agar when clinical specimens such as pus, skin, scraplings, or mucosal swabs are expected to be contaminated with mixed bacterial flora or saprophytic fungi. SDA is frequently supplemented with antimicrobial agents. Antibacterial agents, antibiotics such as chloramphenicol and gentamicin are added to inhibit unwanted background bacterial growth. Antifungal agent, cycloheximide, that estridione, is often incorporated to suppress the rapid growth of environmental or saprophytic fungi contaminants that might otherwise overgrow and mask the slower growing of pathogenic fungi. Incubation parameters and growth rates. The incubation temperature and required growth time on SDA depend heavily on the target organisms. Like yeast, generally incubated at 37 degrees, they grow relatively quickly, producing visible colonies in about 48 hours. Molds and dermatophytes, typically incubated at room temperature 25 degrees to 30. Growth rate. Fungal growth on SDA can vary drastically. While some rapidly growing molds and yeasts appear in 2 to 3 days, more fastidious species or dermatophytes may require 2 to 4 weeks of incubation to yield visible colony. Pathogen specific applications on SDA. SDA allows microbiologists to identify fungi based on their distinct macroscopic like colony color, texture, growth rate, and microscopic morphology. Candida species, when cultured on SDA at 37 degrees, Candida from vulvovaginal candidiasis or sore throat swab rapidly produces moist, glistening, creamy colonies that are dull white or grayish white in color. Dermatophytes, fungi causing ringworm or tinea infections like trichophyton, microsporum, epidermophyton are grown on SDA at 25 degrees centigrade for about 2 weeks. The medium reveals specific colony textures like powdery, velvety, or waxy, and pigmentations, which are critical for species identification. Dimorphic fungi. Fungi that exhibit both mold and yeast forms like Histoplasma capsulatum and Sporothrix schenki can be cultivated on SDA. For example, Histoplasma grows as a white, light brown, puffy colonies on SDA at room temperature. Pus form. Sporothrix lesions can be streaked directly onto SDA with antibiotics at 37 degrees centigrade to isolate the yeast form. Environmental molds are contaminant. Saprophytic molds like Alternaria, Cladosporium, Carvularia, Penicillium mature very rapidly on SDA at room temperature, displaying diverse textures like woolly, velvety, and colors like dark green, black, and blue green. So, this is about SDA, Sabourad's dextrose sugar. Sabourad's dextrose sugar.